All right, Chapter 5, the binomial probability distribution. Okay, Section 5.1. Actually, this works for this first section was all probability distribution. So everything that we learn here will work for any probability distribution that we talk about. So let's look at this first example. Sam is a representative who sells large appliances such as refrigerators, stoves, and so forth. Let X equal number of appliances Sam sells on a given day. Let F equal the frequency with which he sells X appliances. For a random sample of 240 days, Sam has the following sales record. So there were 9 days that he sold 0 appliances. There were 28 days that he sold 4 appliances, okay, and so on. And we know our sample size N is 240. So part A says use the relative frequency to find the probability of X for X equals 0 to 7. Okay? So in other words, what's the probability that Sam is going to sell 0 appliances? Well, there were 9 days out of the 240 that he sold 0 appliances. So we just divide 9 divided by 240 and round it to 2 decimal places is 0.04. The probability he sells 1 appliance. Well, there were 72 days that he did that, so 72 out of 240 is 0.30. The probability Sam sells 2 appliances. There were 63 days out of the 240, so 0.26. The probability of selling 3 appliances, 41 out of 240, which is 0.17. The probability of 4 appliances, 28 days out of the 240 is 0.12. 5 appliances, 14 days out of the 240 is 0.06. The probability of selling 6 appliances in a day, that happened 8 out of 240 days, so 0.03. And the probability of selling 7 appliances is 5 out of 240, which is 0.02. Guys, this set of probabilities right here, this is your probability distribution. And we can graph these, we can find means, we can find standard deviations, we can do everything we want. Okay, so we've got our probability distribution. So let's come down here. We're going to use a histogram to graph the probability distribution of Part A. Okay. So, of course, I titled it My Daily Sales. Your probabilities go on the vertical axis, and our highest probability was 0.30. So I went by 0.05s and got all the way up to 0.35 here. Number of appliances sold on a given day, so we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So the probability for 0 appliances was 0.04. Okay. 1 appliance was 0.30. 2 appliances, and so forth. Guys, you can talk about the shape of this distribution. This is skewed to the right. Okay? Good. All right. Compute the probability that Sam sells less than 3 appliances on a given day. Okay? So we want the probability that X is less than 3. So that means we're going to add up the probability of selling 0 appliances plus the probability of selling 1 appliance plus the probability of selling 2 appliances. So if you go back and look at our probabilities, that was a 0.04 plus 0.30 plus 0.26, which when you add those up, you get 0.60. Compute the probability that Sam sells between 2 and 5 appliances on a given day, including 2 and 5. So now we want the probability that X is between and including 2 and 5. So 2 is less than or X is less than or equal to 5. So that's the probability of selling 2 appliances plus the probability of selling 3 appliances plus the probability of selling 4 appliances plus the probability of selling 5 appliances. So 0.26 plus 0.17 plus 0.12 plus 0.06 is your 0.61. Okay. Now, if you remember back in the notes where we talked about finding the mean of a probability distribution, it's now called an expected value. So when it says how many appliances would you expect Sam to sell on a given day, we're finding a mean. So to find that mean, we take each X value times its probability plus the next X value times its probability plus, and so on. So let's see what I did here. Our first value was 0 appliances, and its probability was 0.04, plus 1 appliance times the probability of 1 appliance, selling 1 appliance is 0.30, plus selling 2 appliances times the probability of selling 2 appliances, 0.26. So plus 3 times 0.17, plus 4 times 0.12, plus 5 times 0.06, plus 6 times 0.03, plus 7 times 0.02, and we get 2.43 appliances. Now, can you have part of an appliance? No. So since this is almost 2.5, I would say Sam, we would expect Sam to sell 2 appliances or maybe 3 appliances. You could say 2 or 3 appliances. But that would be our expected value, 2.43, okay? Now, to get the standard deviation, okay, the average distance from our mean, okay, this formula is a little bit more complicated, but it works for every single probability distribution there is out there, so that's why. So what it's telling us to do is take each x value minus mu, so this 2.43 we found up here, square it, times the probability of that x value, plus, and then we do it for the next one, plus the next one, plus the next one. So we're going to start with our 0. So we're going to do 0 minus 2.43. We're going to square that, and the probability of selling 0 appliances is 0.04. So multiply by 0.04. Plus, our next x value is 1. So I'm going to do 1 minus my 2.43. Okay. Square that times the probability of selling 1 appliance, 0.30. Plus, and then I go to 2. 2 minus my mean, 2.43. Square that times the probability of selling 2 appliances, 0.26. Plus, then we do the same thing with the 3. 3 minus 2.43, square that times 0.17. Plus, and then we do it for the 4. 4 minus 2.43 squared, multiply that by the probability of 4 appliances, so times 0.12. Then for 5, 5 minus 2.43, square that times 0.06. And then we do it again for the 6. We do it again for the 7. Okay? When I work out all this in the inside, I get 2.4451. But remember, right now that's in squared. That's squared appliances. We've got to get the standard deviation, we need to do the square root. So we get 1.56 appliances. Okay. All right, that's it for 5.1. Let me know if you have any questions.